Hi, welcome everybody. I'm David from the center, and we thank you for joining us today for our webinar from our friends at You Can Vote. So in a moment, I'm going to turn it over to Kate Fellman, who's the executive director of You Can Vote, and Mark will be joining us from You Can Vote as well. So the center is really happy that we're able to offer this webinar and to share the great resources of You Can Vote. Hopefully, many of you have taken advantage of those resources, and that you can learn how your organization can become a voting rights champion and really learn some really good user-friendly, nonprofit C3 friendly information about elections in North Carolina, particularly important right now. So again, thank you, Kate, and I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to mute myself.
Hey everyone, thank you, David and the NC Center for always being willing to have us on and share great information with our partners across the state, potential partners and new partners and members. So the past year, 2025, we really did some strategic planning here at You Can Vote, and listened to partners across the state. We did some really deep dive interviews on folks who, used our training, used our materials. Um, and had us out at events and just really learned what folks really needed and what they appreciated most about what You Can Vote here has to offer here for North Carolina. And we just heard over and over again that the quality of information, like the gold standard for simple, nonpartisan, safe education, that they can easily share to their constituents and members and know that they feel supported in and protected and sharing information that is not only accurate, but safely, completely 1,000% nonpartisan. And we also heard from folks that sometimes later in the cycle, they'll get offers for money or they'll get a little bit of civic engagement money to do maybe voter registration day, National Voter Registration Month, but they felt like that money came in kind of late and it was hard to fold that into their already existing programming. And they felt like they could have done more if they would have been maybe trained more or had it built into their program plans. And so we kind of went back to the drawing board and really listened to everything that folks were saying, and we revised and are re-implementing our Voting Rights Champions program. And some of you might be aware that in 2020 we developed this program, the Voting Rights Champions, to get all of the organizations, institutions, nonprofits, community groups across the state, being able to share good information at a time when not everybody could be out doing voter registration or education. And also, it was a time of a lot of rapid disinformation and misinformation. And so, by bringing organizations in and providing them with quality materials and training and best practices and recommendations for how you can share this information, we really expanded the outreach of this great information to North Carolina. And so 2026 is probably going to be a very similar, it reminds me of 2020 a lot in the fact that, folks are confused. Things are going to change rapidly. We know there'll be proposed changes and real changes, and might maybe some changes really close to the 2026 fall election. And we want to bring organizations in and leaders across the state to make sure that we have the ability to communicate when things change. We have the ability to get great information out to your members and your supporters and communities, even if it's 90 days out from election. So that's why we're really ramping up and excited to bring this program to you. And you're one of our first big audiences of organizations that we get to share this program with. And I really hope that you will give us feedback and share this, even if, it's like this doesn't fit within my organization, like share it with others so that we can get everyone on board with this, much needed quality information that voters of our state are really going to appreciate and need. So another thing that we did in 2025 was bring on a new organizing director who has a lot of relevant experience to a program like this. So you might know Mark from previous years, but I'm going to introduce him to you here now. He can tell you a little bit of his background in North Carolina, and he'll dive into our Champions program.
Thanks, Kate. I appreciate it. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited to be here with you today. I will tell you, I have worked in North Carolina a really long time. I've done several electoral campaigns, starting way back in 2012. And then following that, I was the Deputy State Director for Enroll America, North Carolina. And following that, I was the director for the North Carolina Navigator Consortium, where we reached out to folks to sign them up for the Affordable Care Act and make sure they got clean, good information to make strong decisions and know that what they were capable of doing and able to do under that law. We're doing just the same here. We're making sure that we're providing really clean, clear information and making voters confident when they go out to cast their ballots and they get registered. I am going to share my screen with you and talk to you a little bit about our Voting Rights Champions program. If I'm sure that some folks will have questions throughout. Um, Type those in the chat box or write them down on a piece of paper. We will get to those at the end, probably is the easiest. So if we can just hold all our questions till the end. That way, I won't go off on a rant and lose time here answering the questions. And so we will dive right in. So like Kate said, we really made this Voting Rights Champions program to make sure that we are providing organizations, across North Carolina, from Murphy to Manteo. We're giving them the opportunity to get this clean information to provide to their communities and to the people that they serve every day, because they're the trusted messengers in their communities. So in 2026, we are doing this. We're looking for organizations and individuals that believe that pro-democracy messaging and information is really important, and they want to get that information out to their constituencies and their networks. We're casting a really wide net this year for our champions programs. We're looking at the usual kind of nonprofits, community-based nonprofits, houses of worship, things like that. We're also looking at schools, colleges, libraries, community health centers, small businesses can even play a part here, I think, in some ways, to really making sure this message is spread. We want to make sure that where people go, they feel that they can get trusted messages. These clean, clear messages about voting, about registering, about any kind of changes, they're there so they can get this information and take that to their community. So, and like Kate said, we have a kind of enhanced partnership level where we're going to be able to provide some small amounts of funding to certain partners to do this kind of work at a higher level. So, but what we're going to be doing is tripling the number of voting rights champions in North Carolina by the summer of 2026. So we're looking to recruit over 1,000 champions organizations, and champions, I'll kind of lay it out for you. They're the organizations. So let's say there is a food bank in Hickory, North Carolina that wants to give this information. That would be the champions organization. Within that organization, there's got to be a point person that we can communicate with and talk to and get the materials through, and they can disseminate materials to their staff and their folks there. That's the ambassador. So you'll hear me refer to a voting rights ambassador and they are the staff or volunteers of the champion who will carry out the kind of campaigns within the champions organization. But so champions, what do they do? It's really important, the work that they're doing, and it's not really adding, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's not adding to the work that you already do and your organizations already do. This is made to really fold into existing work. So we want to help you to promote ongoing voter education. So if you are at an event and you are talking to voters or possible voters, you can do simple things like voter registration lookup. That's going to be really critical this year for folks to look up their voter registrations. We know that there are going to be a lot of changes. There may be times when they are trying to purge the rolls and people may lose their registration or may not know that they are no longer registered for some reason. We need them to know this right away so they can take care of that and make sure that they're able to vote when time comes. So doing simple things like voter registration lookup, providing opportunities for folks to register to vote at your location or, or at different events that you go to. Distributing very simply, I know most of probably every organization on this call goes to fairs and festivals and events, or goes and does outreach of some sort. And at that outreach event, while you're there as ABC organization, you could distribute these flyers and guides to help people know what they need to know in order to go out and vote. These guides could be information on dates, important dates for deadlines on registering and when to go vote. It can also be information on like what's on the ballot this year. We've got a really great form within You Can Vote that explains every office that's on the ballot this year and explains really in pretty clear, clean layman's terms what these folks do. Because a lot of folks are going to think about some of the big races. They're going to know that, but they're not going to know, what necessarily the clerk of courts does or the district attorney. And that's really important because we know a lot of the things that really affect our day-to-day lives happen right here in our own communities. So helping put that into some really simple, easy to understand terms for folks to read. I saw that piece of paper when I started here with the different offices and the descriptions, and I was like, where has this been all my life? Everybody needs to see this. It is the greatest thing ever. And so I love that. That's one of the things I love the most. These sort of things really help voters to understand what's at play in each and every election, which is so, so important. And again, each of these champions organizations will have, organized ways to get their information out at events, things like that. This is not made to be an extra heavy lift for organizations. We really just want to empower you by giving you the tools and the materials to really make this information known and available to your communities as a trusted messenger in your community. And so the ambassador within the organization is just a coordinator, if you will. It's all they really do is to make sure that the trains are moving on time, if you think about it, make sure that you got the most up-to-date information going out to folks that you're dealing with and that you're working with every day. And you want to make sure that, we're staying in compliance at all times. That's something that's super important to us that You Can Vote. There is no partisanship. We're nonpartisan always. And we can't give any sort of advice about who to vote for or what, anything like that. We just want to make sure that we're giving clear, clean information on dates, how to vote, those sorts of things, nothing beyond that. And then the ambassador would do some light weekly or bi-weekly reporting. I'm still kind of fleshing that out, but maybe 5 minutes a week or every 2 weeks on just simple numbers of people that you've talked to, voter registrations you've looked up, things like that. So it's really not a heavy lift for organizations. Again, we're really focused on empowering you guys with the materials and the information to get that out to your communities to make sure that you help with providing a really strong culture of voting within your community. And with that, we make this kind of civic engagement simple and safe. We want you to become the source in your community for verified, easy to share voting information. It helps you and all the folks that you work with stay informed and confident when they go to vote. And I'm really excited. In here it says bilingual. I'm excited. We have just started this year along the same time as I did was Ron Garcia, who is our Latin outreach manager, and he is really awesome and he is great. And so for folks that are on this call that may serve Latinx communities, please let us know. Ron can help us make sure that we've got the right materials for your community so we can make sure that everybody that needs this really important information gets this really important information. The best part is, like I said, we handle the heavy lifting. We can call and talk to you and coach you through any kind of issues that you might have, any kind of questions that you have in real time. We're here to help. We give you these ready to use kind of plug and play materials that go right into what you're already doing without adding a new job to your plate. These materials are ready to go, and you can get these out to the folks that you are working with each and every day to make sure that they are knowledgeable and understand what's coming up in the next elections and registration and deadlines and so on. So we talked about all the materials. So these are some of the resources that you get. We certainly do trainings, virtual or in person, tailored to groups. We do larger ones for multiple groups coming in at a time. But if there's a need to do specific training for your groups, we or your organization, we would do that as well. But we give information on knowing your rights, best practices on registration, education, mobilization. Again, that what's on the ballot information and why that matters. And it's really designed so your staff, your volunteers, everyone within your organization can understand it, feel prepared to have conversations about it, and not feel overwhelmed or confused, which helps the voter that you guys are talking to very much get confidence and not feel overwhelmed or confused as well. So it's really important to us. You'll hear us talking about simple, easy to understand so often, and that's really what makes us the gold standard here is providing this information that is easily digestible and easy to understand and easy to communicate to others, which is really what's the best part of this. Toolkits that are available as a voting rights champion are really, really, really awesome. We've got our college playbook, we've got high school classroom toolkits, we've got company focused organization toolkits, we've got tools for voter eligibility, voting, what's on the ballot is really a great tools, and upcoming election dates, those sorts of things all come in our toolkits. We're going to keep you updated on new voting rules. So anything that changes throughout this year prior to the general election, prior to the primary, any kind of voter registration changes that may happen from the Board of Elections, we're going to keep our champions informed in real time and provide them with updated materials on how to respond to this, what they need to share to their constituencies, and how best to do that. This is also a great thing. We provide these ready-to-use not only print materials but also digital materials. We know that we live in a very social media-based world. Everybody is on their phones and their laptops and their tablets all the time. So we provide some really great social post language copies that are ready to go. We also provide email copies. We have graphics and videos. We have an outstanding communications manager at You Can Vote who does some really, really great TikTok videos, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, which is where you really have to be to share this message, especially for young folks who we know really need to get it so much. So much of this messaging needs to be aimed at those folks. We also have flyers and these one-pager handouts that are absolutely great. You hear me talk about the French card. It is our biggest and most popular piece of material. It is a little card that you can put right on your fridge. It's about that size, and it contains everything that you need to know about upcoming dates, election deadlines, those sorts of things. It's all on that card. Easy to read, reference. It is a work of art, and I love it. It is something that everybody loves our fridge cards. So that's something that we have. We also have different handouts like the what's on the ballot that I told you about, and those sorts of things. So these are really great and they're free to use. We can also co-brand things if we want to do that. There's a lot of options to make sure that this fits for you. We don't want you going out and doing the work, this work as You Can Vote, volunteers. We want you going out as your organization, providing this additional information as your organization. So it is not, we don't need to get any of the credit or anything like that. We just want to make sure that folks are getting this really, really important information. So this is one of the best parts, I think, is the hands-on coaching and action plans. Kate has been doing this for a long time. I've been in this kind of work for a long time. The folks that You Can Vote are really knowledgeable, and we've had a lot of success in doing this. And so we want to provide kind of coaching, if you will, or just conversation space to make sure that we're kind of helping you personalize any kind of outreach plan. If you want to do something more specific targeting, we're here to help you do that. We're here to kind of listen through things that are not working and trying to see if we can troubleshoot things that might help to get you more uptake in people that you're able to talk to or register or whatever the case may be. Or conversely, if things are going really great and you're doing like huge numbers of voter registration lookups and you're giving out a ton of information, we want to learn from you too, because we don't know it all. And we want to make sure that the other partners within the state can learn from you too. So it's a kind of a very two-way street when we're talking about sharing here. And we want to make sure that we're hearing everything and able to share that out with our networks as well. Again, we'll also keep real-time updates anytime voting rules change. A lot of these materials that we have are live on Google Docs, so we can provide really quick updates to these materials that can be out and ready to go within, minutes to hours after any kind of voting rule change. It needs to be, spread out to the community. The message needs to be spread out. So you will have that in real time, which is something that is a really, really, really valuable because too often things change and folks may not get the message until 3, 4, 5 days down the road. And by that time, a lot of damage can be done. You could have registered a lot of voters or tell a lot of folks information that's no longer accurate that could end up disenfranchising folks or making them have to cast a provisional ballot or something along those lines. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that folks are able to go in confident that they are going to be able to cast their ballot and go and make their voice heard. So, and the big thing here is you're the trusted messenger of in your community. So you bring that credibility to the community, and we take care of the complexity and the materials creation and the making sure that we stay on top of voting rule changes and making sure that we stay in communication with boards of election and all those sorts of things. We take care of that behind the scenes, and we give the information and the materials to you directly. And so you, as a trusted messenger, are going to be the one that's automatically, getting more credibility within your community. So again, we want to make sure that you have the tools to do this and empower your community to create a culture of voting. Now, I just want to quickly talk about our mini grants program. For folks that are wanting to do this at a little bit of higher level and really kind of create a really robust program within their organization, but may need to do a little bit of funding to expand that engagement because we know that sometimes funding for this comes too late in the year and that doesn't help. We are putting together a mini grant program that's kind of here to help you do that. We're going to be able to give some funds out to certain organizations that apply for this program, and we will then help you to really kind of engage at a higher level than other champions, really, and make sure that you are really getting your critical messages out to every single person in your community that you possibly can, not just maybe the folks that you serve at with your specific organization. So if you're looking to really get engaged in this work, we can help you do that as well through this Voting Rights Champions mini grant program. So that's something that we, if you are interested in that, there's going to be a QR code at the end of this conversation here for you to scan, and you can sign up. It'll take you to our Voting Rights Champions webpage on our website. That'll give you a little bit of a brief rundown of what we talked about today. But if you're interested in this program or just becoming a voting rights champion, you'll go to that page and fill that out, and you'll get some really great information immediately from that. So, and we will call you and talk to you a little bit more. And we can talk to you about your interest in the mini grant program if that's something you're interested in. And so lastly, again, why become a champion? It's because your community trusts you. When the information comes from a local trusted source, folks believe it. If I come in from, I'm outside of Charlotte. If I come in to Western North Carolina from here, they're going to say, well, who are you? Why are you coming here? Or if, Kate, or if we go to all the small towns across North Carolina, they're not going to trust us as much as they trust these organizations that have a history and built a credibility within their organization. So that cuts through the confusion and reaches the people who need it the most. The folks that really need it the most are the people that are going to your organizations each and every day. And so by becoming a champion, you'll be joining hundreds of nonprofits, community-based organizations, neighborhood groups, and that are standing up for accessible, nonpartisan voter information and creating a sustainable culture of civic engagement across North Carolina, which is what we want to make sure happens. We want everybody that is able to vote to be able to go out there, go vote, and be empowered with the confidence to do that and not feel like they're confused. We just want to provide clear information and confident voters. So if you can, you'll see these QR codes on the side of your screen here. If you want to if you want to fill those in or snap those, I don't know what the terminology is there. Wow, I sounded like an old man. You can look at those and scan those. That was the word I was looking for, and sign up for the Voting Rights Champions program or find information on the Voting Rights Champion program on that page. I'll also put the URL in the chat here in just a minute. But if folks have any questions, I am happy to take those now.
I see a question in the chat from Beth about the mini grant program and is it private, state, or federally funded? Well, it's private. It's you can vote. We are going to, and we experimented this with some schools in 2024, and it really helped them to be able to supervise you can vote fellows on their campus. You know, if we're not having staff directly at a place, it gave them the funds to have a fellow and supervise that fellow on that remote campus. So this would all be from us, and we would be, you know, work through an MOU, very simple, very clean, and yeah, any other questions for Mark?
Well, guys, I'm going to put the URL here in the. Oh, Kate already did it. She's way ahead of me. She's got the URL here in the chat box here. Also, I think David is going to send out some information after the call here for folks. The recording will come out. If folks have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are here to help. Like I said, we just want to make sure that you're getting this information out to as many folks as possible.
And I would request that if anybody has a group that you want to learn more, we have 2 follow-up information sessions. Maybe Mark, you can put those in the chat box as well. Well, David's going to send all that out too. But encourage folks to come and learn more at one of our upcoming info sessions, or request us to come and share this if you're part of another association of groups, or you just want to bring us into a staff meeting and grill us about how this would work. This is how, you know, these meetings are important, we know, and we're happy to come speak to anyone. So, and that information is all on our website, and we'll send that out as well.
And I see one more question. A champion can have more than one ambassador. Ideally, a champion will have more than one ambassador. There'll be kind of like the primary point person will be the primary ambassador. But we also think that in a real world, we know that things happen. Folks get sick. They move jobs. They move communities sometimes. So having backups in the organization is really critical. So we're hoping that each organization can have at least one, hopefully 2 backup ambassadors in each organization. We know that sometimes that may not be possible, so that's okay. But that's kind of the ideal situation. There will be more than one ambassador. And will there be a link for the Spanish language resources that we mentioned? Yes, we will get those out for you as well.
Yeah, and this might be something where you want your, I don't know if anybody has like summer interns or fellows or junior staff that you want them to be part of this little cohort, because ideally we're doing this every single year. We want to be able to grow your capacity to run this good program within your organization, within your communities, and help, you know, based on the learnings from this year, you know, we can take it into, you know, municipal elections, future federal elections, and continue to grow this.
Any other question in the chat? Well, seeing that, I want Mark, unless you've got anything else to say, and if you do, you're welcome to. You know, we've got
no, I'm good. I'm good. I just really appreciate the time you all have given us, and please let us know if there's any other questions that we can answer for you.
Yeah, and as Kate said, we'll be sending a follow-up email with the recording for this, with a few of the links that that we've just mentioned. And again, I really want to thank Kate and Mark, and you can vote for this. And want to kind of touch on three last points as we're wrapping up here. Reiterate two things that Mark said. First, it's really important that you can vote is providing up-to-date resources because and I was just talking with another attorney about this right before this webinar that there are likely to be some changes in election laws between the primary election and the general election this year. So it's really important that you can vote as doing that. Secondly, I have found, and I've heard from so many nonprofit people that, what Mark said, the plain language in the You Can Vote resources is extremely helpful. It is great that you're getting current, accurate information, but also in a way that is easy to understand for somebody who's not a lawyer, who does not, regularly study the election process. But it's also really easy to translate both into Spanish, but also into just English for the people you're serving. So I think it's a really great blessing that we've got. You Can Vote in North Carolina. And then the last point is a reminder, and I think most of you already registered for this, but we are doing a second webinar in the series, same time next Tuesday, so 1 p.m. next Tuesday. Lauren Noyes, the attorney I just referenced, and myself are going to be providing kind of the basics about what C3s can and can't do in elections, and Lauren's going to walk through kind of some of the nuts and bolts of the election process and the primary election process in North Carolina for you. So if you haven't already registered for that, it is in the chat. That's Rebecca got you by a second there. Put the link in the chat right before you asked for it. And we'll include that in the follow-up email as well. But again, I know that most of you have already registered for that one as well, but we'll have that as well. So with that, I think we are done for today. And again, really want to thank you, Kate and Mark, both for doing this webinar today, but also for the great support and resources that you're providing, on elections in North Carolina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.